just doing a morning warm-up sketch. It's about 9:25. I have no idea what I'm going to draw. This is the sketch I worked on yesterday and the videos, and then I did this one afterwards. Still trying to iron out one of my characters' designs, but I don't know, this version, just I look at it and all I see is River Song from Doctor Who. So it's like, I like that. It's very distinct, but it's a little, I don't know, I wasn't aiming for that kind of likeness, so I don't know what to think of it. Like, when you're designing characters, it's one thing to create a character with a particular likeness and identity unto itself, but when it starts getting really derivative of another character, people bring their, if they're familiar with that character, that other character, they start bringing in their other preconceived notions, and that's not exactly what I was aiming at. I don't know what the hell I'm going to draw. Sometimes these first few sketches are pretty awkward. A lot of times I'll do little thumbnails like this of just either people dancing or action poses, or trying to just figure out decent compositions, stuff like that, just to sort of just to get that part of my brain actually functioning, which right now not much of it seems to want to. One of the things that I learned quite a while ago is the power of the silhouette. Excuse me. It took me a while to understand what that really meant, though. Like, when you're creating an image, especially a stagnant image, a static image, it can be stagnant. A lot of my pieces feel stagnant. It needs to have like an immediate read. It needs to be able, you need to be able to look at, or the audience needs to be able to look at the piece and just immediately understand what is trying to be explained. Like, okay, is that character standing or sitting or running or dancing? You know, that sort of thing. And the body language is needing to be really clear. Like, that looks like super awkward running. I don't know. And it's, you know, it's sort of a process of understanding some things about how that comes across on the paper, because it's not about drawing something completely realistic. Sometimes it's actually the opposite. Sometimes you gotta make it unrealistic in order to read correctly, which is tricky to learn, because the difficult part is that if something looks wrong, it doesn't matter how realistic it is. If it looks wrong, it's going to throw your whole thing off, throw your whole image off. Even if it is referenced and researched and, you know, biomechanically correct, so to speak. I don't even know if that's a term. I might have just made it up. But I don't know, our human brains are very, very used to seeing what we perceive rather than what's real. And along with that expectation of perception comes, you know, certain biases of, if we see something that just doesn't seem right, our brains will immediately tell us it's not right. Also, I'm still waiting on the coffee to kick in. one of the things that I learned along with that is to make sure that as many of the limbs are not overlapping the interior of the silhouette or the torso itself. So like this part of the silhouette, this part of the silhouette, this limb is inside of it, so it almost disappears. It doesn't matter what I do with it. Like I can really build this line up, but it's almost always going to disappear. So I have to be super careful in how I draft this and make sure that the rest of it, of the body, reads in a way that makes sense. Okay, well, this foot's here and this leg is here, and I can't immediately see it, but the way the rest of it's positioned, it makes a certain amount of sense. And again, this is looking pretty awkward because it's, I don't know, because I'm cold, not physically, but my brain is not warmed up yet. Anyway, moving on. One of the things that I've been struggling with lately is just coming up with decent ideas. Like I've been wanting to do a pinup because I'm between. I just finished printing Remedy 4, which is at the printers right now, and I'm, coming off of that project and working on it for however many months it took, and then trying to start a brand new story. It's a lot of development on this Into the Impossible, my new story, which is what these characters are for. And along with that, I have to acclimate myself to the characters. I have to, kind of get inside of them, so to speak, and figure out what they want and all the internal workings, not just design, but, just the depth of the characters themselves, and figure them out, which can only be done over a course of time. So along with that, in order to not just completely atrophy as an artist, while I'm focusing on the characters and the writing portion of the project, I like to do pin-ups or sketches or, this sort of thing, especially because I'm working in watercolor for the first time, and I'm only a few months into really exploring that. I'm spending a lot of time developing sketches and practicing and just learning the new media and how it works for me and how all of that goes together. So with that process, trying to keep the rust off and whatnot, which builds up super quickly, even after like just a few days of not drawing, it's so much harder to get back into it. I want to, do like a pinup or something to just focus some of that artistic energy, but I have been really, really struggling with coming up with something interesting. And I feel like where I'm at right now is I've been just doing all kinds of sexy women pinups, which is, kind of where my heart lies, but I felt like I've left some of my other skills on the back burner for a little bit too long, and haven't really been doing a lot of like story pinups. Looks like it's running, or she's running. So, the tricky part is that I've been doing so much story writing in my for this project, that when I try to do just a quickie pinup type situation, it's my brain just falls flat and everything seems a little boring. So I don't know, that's part of the reason why I'm doing some of these thumbnails, is just to kind of wake that bit up, get the visual storytelling woken up a little bit more, because there really are very different parts of my brain. At least it feels like it anyways. There's been times when I literally feel like my brain is changing chemistry or something. You know, like if you go through a series of different moods through the course of a day very quickly, you feel emotionally exhausted. It's kind of like that, where I can feel my brain, like parts of it turn on and turn off as I'm going through this process of especially the writing. And like I've noticed when I sit and write in the morning and then go to like pick up my daughter from school, like if I the first few minutes I'm in the car, it's like everything's slightly surreal, and it just, I have to take a minute to let my mind adjust because it's so stuck on being deep in my imagination that being, you know, surrounded by reality is a little overwhelming. So that's a thing. Running. What else can I do? Here, put a ground plane on there so it looks like it's relative to something. One of the things that I'm looking to do with this blog or vlog or whatever you want to call it, I've been looking on YouTube for videos for quite a while now, years, but you know, off and on, and there's just a wide range of different types of art videos. A lot of them are speed paints or speed drawings, and like I get the reasoning behind that because drawing takes forever, and you know, you sit there and watch. Nobody has time to sit there and watch a 6-hour video, and unless you're me and an artist and are fascinated by that sort of thing, or just really bored, I guess. I don't know. But you know, the speed paints and the speed videos are nice on the fact that they're more time efficient for the viewer, but they don't really allow for a real understanding of the depth of thought process that goes into doing this type of work. And I feel like I've been watching Daniel Landerman quite a bit on YouTube, and he does his Twitch live streams and then ports them over to YouTube. And you know, along with watching him draw in real time, you get the sense of the problem solving first and foremost, because that's a huge part of the process. It's a huge part of the skill set. Just figuring out how shit's supposed to work on the page, because like I said, it doesn't always read correctly, even if it's realistic. So, you know, and then the other half of the creative process is just getting your brain in the right space, doing this sort of thing that I'm doing now with thumbnails and warm-ups and running through, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 ideas before you get to the right one that works for what you're aiming at. And you know, and then the stuff that I've done with clients, you know, that I feel like if the clients understood that part of the process a little better, and I've never had like any serious problems with any of the clients that I've worked with, so I'm not saying that we've butted heads or any of that sort of thing, but it's just a lack of experience with that process, because it's fairly unique to a creative whatever process, whether it's building a website or it's, you know, drawing a t-shirt or whatever. And you know, you got to go through the crap ideas before you get to the good ones. And you know, there's no real way around it. Experience will help you identify what are the good ideas, but the only way to get the experience is to do the fucking drawing. So, you know, there's no easy way aside of going through it. So that's one of the things that I'm really looking to do with this video vlog is go deeper into the creative process, because I feel like that's something that I haven't seen a whole lot. Except for maybe there's like lectures and shit like that, but those are boring. So at least this way you can kind of come along for the ride with me. I shouldn't say they're all boring. I've definitely enjoyed several of them. But, you know, they can get boring pretty quickly, especially if you're a casual viewer. So, I don't know, this isn't, still not working or waking up yet. It's pretty rough. Usually it takes a while, especially because I'm jumping into it and doing the video too, and jibber jabbering more than I usually do. So, what do I want to do with this arm? I don't like the position it had, but that's about the best option. If I go this way, it looks silly. Look like, yeah, no. So, what else? I don't know. That just doesn't work. I don't even know what I'm doing, really. Is she running? Is she dancing? I don't know. Swords? Maybe this side. Not the back of her hand. Swords. I've been wanting to do some sort of documenting video or live stream or something like that for a while. Partly because of the promotion and exposure element, but also partly to get myself on a better general regimen of drawing. One of the things that I struggle with a lot is the schedule. You know, being a stay-at-home parent as well as an artist. Frankly, I get overwhelmed, or at least I get too drawn into the parenting aspect of my life, which, you know, is super important because kids. But as an artist, as a professional artist, I kind of get caught up in not having to do the work all the time, and I'm, you know, I want to move forward professionally. I'm definitely feel like I'm still, you know, one step above the amateur rank or whatever you want to call it, but I don't know. It's life just gets in the way very frequently, and one of the most important aspects of being a professional is being timely and being on a regimen. But that's also one of the things that I have the biggest problems with generally for myself. If I do a project for somebody else, it's way different, which is fucking annoying to me. But if I am doing it for myself, you know, I tend to procrastinate pretty badly. Alright, moving on. So, I'm trying to overcome that procrastination and do more work, do more timely work, put more focus on just all of it, being more prolific. So, it's, excuse me, it's just a constant process of reminding myself to, get up on time and not forget to do shit. Post on social media, which is, I don't know, I got a pretty love-hate relationship with social media, particularly Facebook these days, which is aggravating because it seems like, especially in the local comics community, Facebook is the place, which is, I don't know, it is what it is. And, I'd rather not have to deal with that. But it's, along with the need to promote on social media, there's the other side of it with fighting the algorithms and just getting people to see the work, getting people to respond to the work, that stuff. Which, that, as an artist, I know people apparently like my work, but, for every person that likes it, I only get maybe, one comment. I don't know how many people like it so much, but I don't get a lot of feedback. And while I get the psychology there, like, people tend to be more prone to speak out about stuff they don't like rather than stuff they do like. It's very difficult as an artist, as somebody working for myself, trying to promote my work, trying to establish a brand. If I don't get feedback, I'm not a big company. I'm just a guy drawing at his fucking kitchen table. Well, right now I've got my studio in the basement, but that's, not the point. It's, I try to start a dialogue, and I don't know if this is sort of a regional thing here in Ohio or what it is, but just trying to get a foothold, trying to start a dialogue, trying to get people interested in my work, trying to get people interested in buying more of my work, it's all the classic issues of branding. I have my opinion on all that, and I think more than anything right now, what I would like is for people to just be like, hey, Brian, this sucks, or this is good. I liked this story better than that one because of this reason. What am I doing? So, otherwise I'm more or less just working in a vacuum, which is where I've worked for years now, just generating material by myself, or, I've had collaborators in the past, and it's good to get information from them that way, but, it still sometimes feels like once the product's out there, it just disappears. I don't spend a lot of time reminiscing on this stuff, so I'm just kind of focusing on what I'm going to be working on next and what I'm working on right now. and I don't really look back at stuff that much. I mean, I don't even have, I've got my books that I've made myself in the last few years, but I don't even have like printed copies of any of the books that I had prior to starting writing myself. And it's not that, I don't know, that's an issue of self-consciousness more than anything. I don't like that here. I don't know, that's whatever. I don't really care to look at my old work that much. It's good to look at it from the standpoint of learning on occasion, but seeing how far I've come. What am I doing? Where's the head? There. Let's see. Actually, I think that whole lack of feedback is a big part of the reason why you see so many people on YouTube with like a channel that they worked hard on for, a year or something, and then they haven't posted any videos in 7 months or whatever. It's very discouraging. Art by itself is tons and tons of work, and then to put that much effort into something like a YouTube channel or a Facebook page or an Instagram, and then, not only, see other, not just artists, but other celebrities or just bloggers or whoever, and get, totally blown up on it for, posting trips to Walmart and shit like that. And it's frustrating. I'm sure there's some jealousy involved with that. It's very beguiling because you're like, why are people watching that and not, checking out my stuff? I try to be a bit more pragmatic about that, not get too emotionally involved with it, because it can be pretty damaging to the psyche sometimes. But people like what they like, whatever that is, and that's fine. But being on the other side of it, being an artist that's been working for close to 2 decades now to be better. And I will freely admit that first decade or so I was garbage. I really, it wasn't until, I don't know, 6-7 years ago maybe at the earliest that I was any kind of decent. But to put that amount of time into a craft and try and get the exposure that comes along with it, or that needs to come along with it, end up having, that much time dedicated to the marketing and exposure aspect of it. It's just exhausting to have so little return. Hopefully I don't sound like I'm bitching. I just am, I don't know, very aware of it. Moving on, let's think of a new topic. Try drawing a dude. Honestly, I've gotten to the point where I don't draw guys very much. It's a bit frustrating because I know I've built myself into a bit of a hole of drawing guys that I'm out of practice, and that's my own damn fault. And with the Remedy, I have tons and tons of female cast members, and really there's only like one or two guys that appear regularly. And I just like drawing women better because I don't know, they're sexier, I guess. That's a big part of it. But also just because they're more fun, but because I like women, I guess. I don't know. But guys are blockier, and they can be graceful, but a lot of times they're more not static, but they just, I don't know how to explain. I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. Coffee is not kicking in fast enough.